Good evening, Cement Shoes. How are we doing today? Good evening, Purple. How are we doing? Hope you had a wonderful week. RJ, welcome. How are we doing today, RJ? Anita Butts. Good evening, Anita. How are we doing? I hope you had a wonderful week. We'll wait a couple more minutes for people to gather, and then we're going to play some mob trivia tonight. Mafiosa. Have I gotten notification I'm live yet? No, I haven't. Probably why. Still wait for people to show up. I haven't gotten a notification myself that I'm live yet. I think it's kind of hit or miss if we ever get notifications. Nothing, no notification that I'm live yet. Yep, all is good. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas to you as well, Anita. Hope you and your family have a wonderful Christmas. Come on, YouTube, send out notifications. I haven't even gotten a Facebook notification yet. So how cold is it on that side of the Cascades? Right now, Purple, it is 11 degrees. 11, 1-1. Tonight, it's supposed to get down to, I believe, 5, -5, or somewhere. It's something with the number 5 in it. It wasn't 15 because it's 11 right now. So, RJ, it's 1 degree in Boulder. You got your notifications, Purple? Well, that's good. I haven't gotten it up. I'm checking. Nada. No notifications on my cell phone yet. 1 degree in Boulder. That sucks. We are at 45. Well, I guess I'm in the wrong place. I should be over on the other side of the Cascades. No, it's been brutally cold here. See, not yesterday, but the day before, the high temperature was 3. The low temp that night was -10. Add in windshield factor of winds about 5 miles an hour. And I mean, I feel really bad for those who don't have a home or someplace to stay warm. They opened up a bunch of warming centers, for people. But I noticed when I drove past a laundromat of all places, it was designated as a warming center. So I guess there's that. People could do laundry and to stay warm. But we started out the day at 11 degrees. Hmm. All right. Well, we're going to get this party started. Tonight we are playing mob trivia. Let me get myself in my little window. Boom, boom. Oh, I said little window. There. Little window. Put myself in my little window. 15 questions if you're new here. All questions are displayed on the screen, and they are all multiple choice. And here we go. First question, if I can get the thing to click on it. There we go. Question number 1. Which of the following men took credit for killing Jimmy Hoffa, the union boss and crime boss? Was it A, Al Capone, B, Frank the Match Sheeran, C, John Iron Fist O'Malley, or D, Joe Pesci? Who took credit for killing Jimmy Hoffa? We got B and B so far. B and B. Anybody else want to guess? Who took credit for killing Jimmy Hoffa? Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? And they've never found Jimmy Hoffa's body, as far as I know. But they pretty much figured that this individual did kill Jimmy Hoffa because of DNA that matched. Purple going with B. Who killed Jimmy Hoffa? There's a new Simon Whistler video about Hoffa. Forgot which of his channels, but looking forward to it. I have not seen a newer released video about Jimmy Hoffa. I know that he was a crooked union boss, that's for sure. He had his hands in just about everything, from racketeering to wire fraud, you name it. Jimmy Hoffa was involved in it at some point through his career with the Teamsters. All right, question number 1. Which of the following men took credit for killing Jimmy Hoffa, the union boss and crime boss? The answer to question 1 is B, as in boy. Frank the Match Sheeran. He actually took them to where he says he killed Hoffa, and they found traces of DNA on the wall of blood splatter, and they tested it, and it actually came back to, if it wasn't Hoffa's blood, it was definitely a family member of Hoffa's, because the genetic DNA matched. Good evening, Short Nice. Hello, everyone. Had a few nights, 41 Celsius. My car battery died. I'm sorry. Well, I hope you can get the battery to your car back and running. It's on Decoding the Unknown. All right. Thank you, Cement Shoes. I'll go check it out afterwards. All right. Well, question number 2. Question number 2. I forgot to click on the screen in between it with the actual answer, because it's the question, then the answer question. Question number 2. Once a snitch, always a snitch. Which one of these mobsters was a well-known snitch? Was it A, Henry the Moot Hill, Joseph Joe Dogs Lanzui, C, Abe the Kid Twist Real, or D, all the above? Which one of these mobsters was a well-known snitch? You don't know any of these names, Cement Shoes? I'll tell you this much. Here's a clue. All three of these men have had movies made about them, starring big time actors. You may not recognize the names, but the movies certainly. I'd tell you the answer to some of the movies, but Short and Ass is going with D. Kid Twist sounds familiar. They've all had movies made of them. Duh, Henry Hill. Which one of these, once a snitch, always a snitch. Which one of these mobsters is a well-known snitch? Purple's going with A. I was looking at the nicknames and my brain didn't kick in. Yeah, it happens to me too. It happens to me too, Cement Shoes. Once a snitch, always a snitch. Which one of these mobsters is a well-known snitch? The correct answer to question 2 is D as in dog. All three of these men were well-known snitches. All three of these men not only snitched on their own crew, their own mobsters, if you will, they snitched on people and made shit up. They're like, you know what? I'll talk about everybody. They implicated people for crimes they never even committed. So the answer is D. Every one of the mobsters rolled over on their own men, and all of them told another mobsters. All of them sang to the FBI to get lighter sentences, even pointing at people who didn't do crimes just to help the FBI put them in prison. Did they get axed? All of them no, they served sentences, died of different causes. All right, question 3. While serving time at the famous Rock, that's Alcatraz, Al Capone was stabbed over a debt he owed for less than $2. A, true, B, false. I'm sure they met on inevitable fate. Yes, they did. They did. While serving time at the famous Rock, Alcatraz, that's a prison off of the coast of California, Al Capone was stabbed over a debt he owed for less than $2. Rocky Road lady, good evening. And Rocky Road is going with B, false. $2 was a lot more back then. It definitely was. $2. I think you could buy like a Model T for less than $100. I mean, it was a used car, but you could buy one for less than $100. You couldn't touch the damn, wheel on a Model T today for $100. Al Capone. Remember when Geraldo Rivera had his special in the night. I think it was something like mid 80s, probably like 85, 87, somewhere in there, where they were going to open Al Capone's vault. It was like this big television, like, expose. They're going to open Al Capone's secret, bank vault. That for some reason, every time I hear the word Al Capone, I always think of, well, Geraldo Rivera. And for those who don't remember, Geraldo Rivera used to have a talk show. That special wasn't very special. No, it wasn't. But Geraldo Rivera. Back in those days, we had Sally Jesse Raphael, Geraldo Rivera, Phil Donahue, and of course, your daytime shock shows like Morton Downey Jr. And you had your, I don't think he came, I think he came on later. Loved watching him. Geraldo Rivera. I always liked Donahue a lot more. He wasn't into at least in the earlier parts of his career. He was more, he brought on people that from different types of lifestyles and social economical levels, and people you didn't have necessarily meet in your day-to-day life on Donahue. But towards the end, it was like, let's get the Nazis and the Black Panthers on the same set. It's like, why? I guess ratings sucked, so they had to do something. I laugh every time I think of him catching that folded chair to the face. Ricky Lake. Yeah, Ricky Lake had a talk show for a while. Forgot about her, didn't I? Yeah, Ricky Lake. When Sally Jesse Raphael had those red framed glasses, that was her little side, schlick, thing, whatever you want to call it. Her catch all the things like, oh, didn't matter what she was wearing, or she changed her hairstyle or clothes. Always had those red framed glasses. There were other ones that had talk shows back then. Some of them weren't as long lived as others. Glow, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. All right, question 3. Move my cursor over to the right page. The answer is true. While working a cleaning detail, he had words with a fellow inmate. Capone owed $2 over a dice game. He was stabbed 2 times with a pair of shears. Lived through it, but he used his influence to make others fear him after that while in prison. He didn't have up until that point, he didn't have what you would call a very easy prison sentence when he was there. Everybody wanted to do something to Capone to make a name for themselves. But he definitely did after that. He used his outside influence to, move certain people into locations in and around the prison to make sure he had protection, I guess you will, for the rest of his stay while in prison. All right, next question. Question 4. I wouldn't go into that place. They used to say that place is guilt, otherwise known as mob owned and run. Which one of these places was not run and owned or controlled by the mob? Was it A, the Stardust Casino, B, Binion's Hotel and Casino, C, the Sahara Hotel and Casino, or D, the Tropicana Casino? Which one was not owned and run and controlled by the mob? Spies, talk shows, reality shows. Glow is going with B for Binions. Rocky Road, A. Short Nights going with D, the Tropicana. I've never been on like a huge show of like reality TV or talk shows. I mean, I've never sought them out, to actually like, part of my daytime, television watching back when I used to watch television. I mean, it was, if I was surfing, back then I had like, I think 4 channels, ABC, NBC, CBS. I don't think Fox TV was even a thing then, but then I had like PBS, and then we had like a local, like college station that you could, tune in. But those were like the 5 channels that you had. And you had to get up and actually turn the dial on the television, in order to actually tune in any of them. Yeah, and that Montel Williams, Montel, yeah, forgot about Montel. Montel has MS. I think it's multiple sclerosis. I think he has something like that. But he actually quit his show to go overseas to get treatment. I remember that. I only watched films, true crime, and reruns of old shows I liked from when I was younger. I think the most television I ever watched was probably when I was probably about the age of 15, 16, somewhere in there. When MTV came out, and it would be on until I think 10 o'clock at night, and then the television would have the Star Spangled Banner that would run all night long until like the morning when the broadcast television came back on. But MTV, when MTV came out, I was hooked. Young and the Restless. Probably since I was 5, I watched my mom. Still watch today. I didn't know Short Nights. I didn't know that soap operas were even on television anymore. I really didn't. I mean, I'm not surprised. Arsenio is the only one I liked. Only after seeing him open for Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock did I know how funny Arsenio was. I didn't know that Arsenio Hall actually did stand-up comedy. Ooh. All right, question 4. Which one of these was not mob-owned, controlled by the mob? The answer is B as in boy. Do not for a second think Ted Binion wasn't connected to the mob. He was very connected to the mob. He just ran his own casino and hotel that let other mobsters and their ladies feel free to play alongside other mobsters. Call it a neutral zone where they could rub elbows with mobsters from other states or parts of their city. Ted Binion was said to not really care. He was too busy at the poker table and with his own distractions. Mel, good evening, Mel. Hi there, people. Sorry for being late. You're okay, Mel. But B, as in boy, was the correct answer. Ted Binion's Hotel and Casino. Question 5. He ran the city with an iron fist. Very few dared to cross him. Those that did slept with the fishes. What city was controlled by Nicodemo Scarfo and family? Was it A, Buffalo, C, Chicago, Illinois, C, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or D, Los Angeles, California? Nicodemo Scarfo. What city did him and his family run? Mel's going with C, the city of brotherly love. Short Nice is going with B, Chicago, Illinois. Cement's going with Buffalo, New York. Star 5, B, Chicago. Purple going with C, Philadelphia. But I'm sure I'm wrong, Will. We'll find out in just a little bit. I mean, I never even heard of Nicodemo Scarpo in their crime syndicate until I put this list together, and I started learning a lot about some of these mobsters. Are they all near water? Well, Buffalo is. Chicago's got water, a lot of water near. Philadelphia, yeah, they're all near water. I mean, there may not. I mean, obviously, there's an ocean next to Los Angeles and an ocean near Buffalo, New York. Chicago and Philadelphia are in, the inlet states, but there's huge bodies of water near both of them. He ran the city with an iron fist. Very few dared to cross him. Those that did slept with the fishies. Have a great Christmas, hon. Still in hospital 9 weeks now. I'm really sorry about that, Gone Girl. I'm really sorry about that. I was hoping that you'd be home by now. You have, as good of a Christmas as you can. RJ is going with B, Chicago, Illinois. Inner peace. Good evening, inner peace. Love to all. Love to you, Gone Girl. Nope. I put all these together. Inner peace. He ran the city with an iron fist. Very few people dared to cross him. Those that did slept with the fishes. What city was controlled by Nicodemo Scarfo and family? Has been in the hospital since November with lung infection. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Starfire. Good evening. Really sorry about that. Nadine Artisan, good evening. And guessing B for Chicago, Illinois. I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us tonight. there's our inner peace, ladies and gentlemen, is going with E, Silicon Valley. Nicodemo Scarface and family rule. They ruled Silicon Valley with an iron fist. You did it exactly the way that they wanted to, or your IPO was canceled. Howdy. All right, question 5. The correct answer on the next screen is C. C as in cat. Under the iron fist of control, Nicodemo family started 4 mob wars. He personally ordered the murder of 30 plus members of his own crew of mobsters, changed how anyone joined the mob. They had to be born in the area. The family had to be in the mob or at least be mob friendly. At least 3 others had to know the person joining their entire life. If they screwed up, the 3 paid the price. So effectively, people stopped recruiting others to join the Nicodemo family. He just took over crews, mob families instead. The FBI was never able to get an undercover officer into the Nicodemo family. Sounds like a lovely person. Question 6. True or false? At one point, there were over 20 different mob families in control in the U.S. True or false? It's 6 degrees in Michigan right now. I'm sorry, Starfire. It is lovely 11 degrees here where I am. Normally not this cold this time of year, but it is. I hope you're able to stay warm, though. Cement shoes going with B, short knife B, Starfire A, Artisan A. At one point, there were over 20 different mob families in control in the U.S. A balmy 7 degrees there, where knitting artisan is. But do what me and my wife did last night. We sat in front of the fireplace. That was the most comfortable place in the whole house. Just sat there and talked. The ambiance of a fire. We don't have a wood burning fireplace. We have a gas fireplace, but still, it's got the fake looking logs in it that kind of look like they're on fire. Wow, even the West is cold. Yes, it is. South Philadelphia. No, they were in Sicily. Inner peace is going with E when there's only an A and a B. At one point, there were over 20 different mob families in control in the U.S. Is that true or is that false? Land of my people. Sounds true. What is that? Spaghetti? Spaghetti, land of my people? Italy? Okay, question 6. The answer is true. I have to convert each time. LOL is Canada is Celsius. It's still way colder here. All right. Question 6 is true. There were many as 31 at one time. Smaller crime families or groups of mobsters would only be called the blank connection. Kansas City, San Jose, Milwaukee, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Miami, etc. They were all mobsters, all the same, just referred to by the city and not a family name. The largest was in Milwaukee Connection, with over 100 members who fixed everything from horse racing to sanitation, to hired hits from Wisconsin to Montana, and into a couple of rare occasions, Washington State and into Canada. The Milwaukee Connection. but they called them, they were mob families all the same. They just weren't as big as, some of the larger mob families in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, but they were still mobsters. Did you know, additionally, that there were mob families or groups that they were called the connections in those cities? Kansas City, San Jose, Milwaukee, Dallas, Oklahoma City, Miami, just to name a few. And there were mobsters, other families that were definitely mobbed up in the movie industry in Hollywood, California, but they were still mobsters. I don't know. I'm Olive Garden Italian. Didn't they move to Rome at one point? Question 7. Nicky Scarfo was a mobster no one ever wanted to see. His only crew feared what he would do next. He was a bloodlusting, cold-hearted killer who killed his way to the top. What city did he rule? Was it A, New York City, B, Atlantic City, New Jersey, C, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or D, Boston, Massachusetts? That's 2 out of 2 for me. Yeah. Yes, my second cousin was one of them. Hobnobbed with celebs. My mother-in-law, her second husband is related to Tom Selleck, the actor. But Tom Selleck's family from back east in New Jersey is connected to the mob. And Tom Selleck and his entire family have known about it, but they disowned that entire section of their family. We're talking about cousins and nephews and stuff like that they've been mobbed up since the 60s, and they are in fixing of contracts for concrete work and sanitation and all kinds of different areas. But they're connected to Tom Selleck, who is through family lineage, and my mother-in-law's second husband, so my wife's stepfather, but they're connected to the mob. E, Boring, Oregon. That's where Zelda is. It's Boring, Oregon. On to B, good evening. Hi, Will and everyone. Good evening. Once again, no notification, and I'm sorry, Teddy Rose. Let's see here. Let's see if I got mine. That would be a no for me as well, Teddy Rose. I never got notification for tonight's stream. I got an advertisement from Streamlabs, but I don't use Streamlabs. It's the only notification I've gotten tonight. Nicky Scarfo. I thought he was a Philly dilly. Nicky Scarfo was a mobster no one ever wanted to see. His only crew feared what he would do next. He was a bloodlusting, cold-hearted killer who killed his way to the top. What city did he rule? New York, Atlantic City, Philadelphia, or Boston are the option. He dropped them with the fishes. Shh, I just got here. I would disown them really fast myself. I've met a couple members of that family who, through their travels have come out west, where we are, I wouldn't mind meeting Tom Selleck, and the rest of that side of the family, but not the ones from back in Jersey. There's some hard-nosed individuals. We disowned ours, just met them a few years ago. Boston says, I don't know, Aunt B. I don't know. We'll find out in a minute, Aunt B. The last time we met any of the people from that side of the family was when the grandmother passed away. She used to work in Vegas, live in Vegas. She lived in McLaughlin actually, but she worked in Las Vegas. She worked down on the strip. Well, not on the strip. She worked for different casinos, but she worked down on the strip on Fremont. She worked at several different casinos over the years. But that was when the last time we met any of them was at the funeral. Is there still a big mob presence where in Vegas? No. Is there a mob presence in America? Yes. They're just, it's not the Italian mob connection, the Sicily mob connection isn't as big and as prevalent as it used to be. Now we have a lot of, especially in the East Coast of the United States, according to what I've read, just doing this, putting these questions together, is a lot of the mob connections now are from former Soviet bloc countries and stuff like that. But they're out there. Did they bring a bottle of vino to get together at the? Probably in DC wearing suits. No, still no. They were pretty tight knit. Didn't allow us in. Fussy, aren't they? All right, question 7. The answer is C, as in cat. Nicky swears he never rolled over on anyone. He will kill anyone that says otherwise. Yeah, because he's a cold killer. In his time from the 1980s until his eventual arrest, it is believed no less than 35 people lost their lives because Nicky got mad at him. He believed they snitched. He didn't like the way they looked at his wife or friends. In the end, it didn't matter. People just vanished, and that made Nicky happy. All right, next question. Question 8. In the 1970s, New York wasn't any safer than it was in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. Some would even say 1970s were worse. Which group was on the hunt for power, drug territory, and went up against the police or anyone that stood in their way from 1970 to 1978? Was it A, the South Boys, B, the Westies, C, the Lando family, or D, the Gotti crew? Alicat, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. We're on question 8 right now, but we've got 15 of them tonight. I hope you've been doing well. Thank you for joining us. In the 1970s, New York wasn't any safer than it was in the 40s, 50s, or 60s. Some would even say in the 1970s were the worst. Which group was on the hunt for power, drug territory, and went up against the police or anyone that stood in their way from 1970 to 1978? Was it A, the South Boys, B, the Westies, C, the Lando family, or D, the Gotti crew? Patty Rose is going with D, the Gotti crew. Starfire D as well. Corleone family, LOL. Who was out for power from 1970 to 1978 in New York City? New York City, get a rope. All right, that's a bad rendition of a Pace Pecani sauce commercial, but it comes to mind when I heard the word New York. Inner Peas, the Rat Pack. I was listening to Sammy Davis Jr. earlier. He's part of the Rat Pack. I can't, for the life of me, the way that I catalog my records, I cannot figure out where I put, Frank Sinatra. Hopefully, I didn't. He's not inside the house with the rest of them in a box inside the entertainment center. Inner Peace, the meth heads. The South Boys, the Westies, the Lando family, or the Gotti crew? Were they all? Which one was out for power in the 1970s, from 1970 to 1978? Mel Stiller is going with D as well. Let's find out who was out for power in the 1970s. Short and nice for the trophy, for the win. Question 8. The New York wasn't any sampler. Who was out for power? The answer to question 8 was the Gotti body snatchers. Question 8, the answer is B as in boy. Led by known killer Jimmy Cahoon and Mickey the Knife Featherstone, the Westies were nothing to cross paths with. They killed at what seemed random reasons. They put out hits on people they never heard of or had business with. They chopped people up and laid them out in public in pieces just for fun. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the turning point from the Italian Sicily connection to mobsters. These gentlemen were from Ireland, and they were former IRA members who came to America to clean house. And they set up shop from 1970 to 1978. A lot of people who were connected to these two that they didn't kill went into power, and well, they never were really able to make cases against a lot of them for racketeering or for any of the other things that they believed that they did. But they're all connected. Oh no, not the Gotti crew. That's too bad. The Westies. Well, they were from Ireland. All right, question 9. This mobster tried to play off he was insane to stand trial. Problem was, the FBI was watching him the entire time, recorded him saying he was going to show up to his trial in his PJs, pajamas, and a robe. It didn't work for Vincent Gigante, convicted and given life plus 60 years. What crime family was he the head of before this? Was it A, the Genovese crime family, B, the Gotti crime family, C, the Litosa crime family, or D, the Jersey connection? Yep, Alley-Cat, there were 2 victims that one was a pimp and one was like a 2-bit like a drug dealer. They chopped both of them up into like multiple parts and laid them out in a parking lot of the Port Authority. just for fun. They could have just killed them and dumped their bodies into the, like into the bay or something. But they chopped them up and laid them out on the in the parking lot on purpose to show that they were to be feared, that they were just ruthless killers. The pajama gang. The mob theme is interesting. Well, thank you, Starfire. The idea for this one came from you, the viewers. Short Mass is going with A, the Genovese crime family. Got B and A and A and A and D and A. And the Latosa family, crime family, or Genovese seems to be the most popular. We have one guest for the Gotti crime family. What will it be? Dun 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 dun. Has to be A, says Alley Cat. The Genovese crime family. Rocky Road's going with D. E, Ghostbusters. I ain't afraid to know ghosts. I don't think I have that soundtrack. I gotta look. Yeah, Chorus Line, Monty Python, Pretty in Pink, Flashdance, Quest for Fire, Mickey Mouse Disco, National Lampoon, Chipped Beef, Golden Turkey. Are those only soundtracks I have out here? Nope. I got more. Ah! These are out of order. Liza Minnelli, New York, Empire Strikes Back, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical, Henry Mancini's Apparatus. Good Morning Vietnam, Orson Welles, War of the Worlds. Ooh, Halloween. The Head of the Headless Horseman. I think that's it. Yep. And then that starts with Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's the next one. I choose A, but if FJ, the Tomb Raider, or our friend Will, thank you. What's insane, anyways? Everyone's normal nowadays. I wonder what the insane was back then. Good question, Short Knife. I know it didn't work for him though. He tried, just like Harvey Weinstein tried to fake. During his trial last week, he said he was a crippled old man. But there are videos and pictures that TMZ put up online that showed Harvey Weinstein walking without that walker perfectly well on his estate. He was playing to the jury and to the judge that he's a crippled man. All right, question 9. The correct answer is A, as in apple. He was known as the Chin, head of the Genovese crime family. Never wanted to admit he was outsmarted by the feds. Instead, wanted to believe he was above it all. So he tried one last time to outsmart the feds by saying he was incompetent to stand trial. Then the feds played the audio and video of him talking about faking it all. As long as we don't use the term unalive, We're good. Yeah. All righty. Going on to question 10. Question 10. Mobsters have some strange nicknames and some not so funny ones as well. Which of these mobsters once told comedian Rodney Dangerfield, quote, make me laugh tonight or it could be the last time you take stage? Was it A, Mickey the Mouse Torino, B, Vincent Crazy Horse the Cavalcanti, C, Henry Sweet Lips Lucchesi, or D, Joey Skinny Legs Merlino? Which one of these mobsters once told Rodney Dangerfield, make me laugh tonight, or it could be the last time you take stage? Okay, in case y'all are wondering, um, Rodney Dangerfield's real name is Jacob Cohen. Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect. I tell you, I get no respect. Was all a part of a show. E. Frank the Badass Sinatra. B. Says cement shoes. No respect, I tell you. I believe this entire thing took place because Rodney talked about it on. Oh man, I'm trying to remember what his name is, but he used to have a late night show. Um, not Belzer, but I can't remember. It was but he did acting as well. But he talked about it on his show about being threatened before he took the stage. Poor guy, he got no respect. You see, no respect. Who loved him in Caddyshack? Got no respect. You see. Oh, I didn't know he changed his name. Yeah. The entire thing. So Rodney Dangerfield, are otherwise known as Jacob Cohen. Something else you may not know about him was he used to be an aluminum siding salesman. He started comedy. He quit for years and went back to selling aluminum siding in roofing materials, and then came back to do comedy. He came up with this alter ego of Rodney Dangerfield. This Rodney Dangerfield, the entire thing about no respect was all just a stick that he had put together. But it was a career long stick for him. I remember watching an episode of the Joe Rogan's podcast, and he talked about growing up and and knowing and meeting Rodney Dangerfield when he was just first starting off in his comedy career. Apparently, the man was he gave him some really good pointers and helped him out in his career, especially early. I mean, and that's important, really important, is for somebody to get behind you like that and believe in you in anything, even if they can't give you a leg up in the actual business. At least have somebody in your corner who believes in you. Got to be kidding! No, I'll read you his. Rodney Dangerfield, November 22nd, 1921 to October 5th, 2004. This He was known for his self-deprecating one-hour humor and the catchphrase "I get no respect." He began his working career as stand-up comic on the Fantasy Lounge in New York City. He grew up in a popularity as he became a mainstream late-night talk show host in the 1960s and 70s. Eventually developed into headlining the Las Vegas casino circuit. Early years. He was born to Jewish parents Dorothy Dottie Tinnebaum and a vaudevillian performer Philip Cohen, whose stage name was Phil Roy. After Cohen's father died, the family, his father abandoned the family. His mother moved to Dangerfield and his sister to Kew Gardens, Queens. Dangerfield attended Richmond Hill High School, from where he graduated in 1939. At the age of 15, he began writing stand-up and performed in New York City. He was then at the age of 19, he changed his name to Jack Roy. He struggled financially for 9 years at one point, performing as a singing waiter until he was fired, before taking a job selling aluminum siding in the 1950s to support his wife and family. He was later quipped that he was so little known when he gave up his show business that all the time I quit, I was the only one who knew I quit. It's on his Wikipedia. Back to School with Sam Kinison. B for Shits and Giggles is Alley Cat. Vincent Crazy Horse D Cavalcanti. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm probably wrong. I liked him in Caddyshack. I couldn't imagine anybody else to play that role in Caddyshack. He was just so over the top in everything he did. You have no idea. B for Shits and Giggles. All right, question 10. And move my cursor over to the other screen. Here we go. All right, question 10. The correct answer is D, as in dog. He actually got his nickname from his mother's mother, not biological. It was his biological grandmother had died, and the grandfather had remarried, so it was the second grandmother, who referred to him. He referred to as my Mosa, became because her maiden last name was Mosa. He got the name Skinny Legs from her. Question 11. Question 11. A snitch is also called what? A Lowenbrow. B, a down porter. C, a pigeon. Or D, a patty dog. What is another word for snitch? Rock and roll lady is going with pigeon. Well, I will be darned. C, and C so far. A pigeon. Al Burr, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you for joining us tonight. E, CW's next door neighbor. I'll give him this much. He's had, Christopher Watts has had a pretty uneventful time in prison so far in Dodge Correction Center. I've been not alerted, and I've not found any reports of him being sent to the, to the infirmary. He hasn't been sent to the hospital to get his head stitched back together yet. I guess he's just another sick individual behind bars. F. Casey Anthony's parents. Oh, wow. It's a snitch. Happy Friday and holidays to you as well. Happy Friday. Too bad it didn't work, Cement. Any more Vaseline and boxer briefs behind mishaps for old Watsy? No, no. I'm sure he's paying. Right now the reason why we haven't heard of him in the news or anything is probably paying for protection every week. I mean, people like him are not exactly what you call the most popular individuals in prison. Even if he's around other people who've done the same kind of thing, killed their wife and children, just like Joshy Poo. He can't be exactly be the most popular individual in his circle in prison either. Maybe C, says Mel Stiller. I've heard rumors of that as well. Cement Jew, I mean Interpeas, that he's holding Bible study classes or leading Bible study. You know, is it real? Does he really finally believe in the Bible in the spoken word, or is he doing it hoping that it's some ploy that he down the road can petition for a reduced sentence? A lot of inmates do that. Wonder how fat he is now from all those honey buns. hopefully, really fat. But I don't know. Tell you the truth, he hasn't crossed my mind but twice, in the last like year, and that was only because the news stories came up about him. Don't you just love when they get religion in prison? Yeah, I think they should make Daryl Brooks his celly. Well, which one do you think would come out of that alive? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna put my money on Daryl Brooks because Chris can't hurt anybody unless they're defenseless. All right, question 11. Another word for a snitch is C. A snitch is to sing, to tell the coppers what the family has done or is going to do, to sing about anything that shouldn't be retold. The dirty pigeon rolled over on the crew. Yeah, that's a honeydew. Yep. Oh, well, you should be able to get a pretty quick answer to this one since I just showed it. Question 12. You should try listening to the mobster on audio recording. It's hard to understand exactly what they're talking about. What does juice mean to a mobster? Short Max is going with B. A, go gasoline. B, the interest a mob collects. C, information on another person. Or D, the fluid you drink to wash down the drugs, mainly whiskey. Has anyone, Mr. Frosty? Has anyone mentioned the return of Jim Can't Swim yet? Has Jim Can't Swim come back? Because Mr. Frosty, the last time I checked, Jim Can't Swim. They had deleted a lot of their content. If they come back, I wonder how long it could be for. Because YouTube algorithm is screwed. That's the nicest way I could put it. Yes, they are back. Huh. I will definitely have to check it out, Mr. Frosty. And Mr. Frosty, welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful week. Forgot to greet you. I just started reading your question. Sorry. Question 12. You should try listening to a mobster on audio recording. It's hard to understand exactly what they're talking about. What does juice mean to a mobster? I knew that was going to come up. Inner peas. O.J. Simpson. He is the juice. It was a heartbreaking week. I'm sorry, Mr. Frosty. Judge will have a courtroom named after her one day and a statue in the middle of town. Rocky Rose going with B as well. O.J. Simpson for E. Sounds like get the goods on someone. I still wanted the death penalty in that one. Alicat's going with C, information on another person. Oh, stretching my back out. I sit too long in this chair. Wisconsin was foolish enough to not have the death penalty. Yeah, well. At 6:02, 2 minutes after 6 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour and 2 minutes after I started this stream, I got notification that I was live. 1 hour and 2 minutes. Well, I mean, at least it's a notification, right? Not exactly timely there, YouTube. Who makes sense? Well, you got to work those abs to help your back. Yeah. Shoveling snow today, and then sitting here in this chair for hours. That pretty much wrecked my back for today, Mr. Frosty. I think it's snowing right now, because right now I have a winter weather warning that's coming across the bottom of the screen. We started off the stream, it was 11 degrees. It's now 9 degrees outside. I don't know if that's what the weather warning is. I'd have to click on it, but when I click on it, it doesn't. It closes the my little window here in the corner. My little window here, it closes it. Crunches. Was busy. It's all right, Mr. Frosty. I know. I understand that we can't all have everything available to drop and to join these streams. But thank you anyways. Bend at the knees, Will. Bend at the knees. Yeah, I got the notification just when you started. See that? At least some people got them, on time. That's what's important. We just can't count on them. All right, question 12. The answer is B as in boy. The interest that is paid to the mob on a loan or any dealings where they helped you or didn't help you, but it's given as a sign of respect. That is the juice. The juice on a loan, and you could call the juice on a loan, and that a loan shark makes you as well. I've heard it used in that term as well. But in this situation, it's the mob who's loaning you on a loan. I barely work out, and I work from home, but I do some crunches. I got to do more. Also, I saw on Ryan Hall, y'all, Northern Oregon, Southern Washington area has it bad. Stay safe, Will. Well, thank you, Inner Peace. This has been right now. We are dealing with in my area. I don't know about there, Southern Oregon. I mean Northern Oregon, but here, this is once in a. I think the last storm we had anything even remotely close to this or this much snowfall was like 25 years ago. Was the last time that we've had anything like this ever happen. Well, I get every question right. There you go. All right. Question 13. During the 1920s, the mob made a lot of money, not only supplying booze to the masses, they made a lot of money doing which? A. Wire fraud. B. Fixing elections. C. Killing people for the police. Or D. Illegal gun sales. During the 1920s, the mob made a lot of money, not only supplying booze to the masses, they made a lot of money doing which of the following? Was it A, wire fraud, fixing elections, killing people for the police, or illegal gun sales? Ryan Hall streamed for 10 hours yesterday. Wow, that takes some serious dedication to be able to stream for that long. I've been offered money to stream for 24 hours. I had somebody who wanted to challenge me to see who could stream the longest. I was like, I don't know about that. Pretty sure after about 2 hours, I'd run out of things to talk about. We got D. Ryan Hall will have over 1 million subs soon. Well, good for him. When I was in college, I once streamed for over 90 seconds. There you go. We all have to start somewhere, Mr. Frosty. YouTube will cut it off at 12 hours. Well, then in that case, Smith Shoes, you just do 2. Or break it up into 3 parts. As one ends, the other one starts. I like your cartoon on recent video. Cute. Oh, short and nice. The AR. But thank you. I know what you mean, though. We always said don't cross the streams. We're talking about something else there, Mr. Frosty. That's funny, though. That is funny. I was afraid the power would go out. We here where I am, we've lost power this past week 4 times. I think the longest outage we had was about an hour. Boy, did it get cold in the house. We have a gas fireplace, but apparently that doesn't work when there's no power because it shuts off all the safety switches on it. It just turns itself off, so you can't have a gas leak. But we learned that. So bad. That sounds right. C. Killing people for the police. All right, question 13. The answer to question 13 is D, as in dog. Some years, 1924, 1925, the mob made more money selling guns to countries outside of the U.S. than it did selling booze to the average person. E, diamond, mattress, and shake and cheese. When I think of mob, I think guns. Guns was the correct answer. Illegal gun sales. In the years 1924, 1925, the mob made more money selling guns to countries outside of the U.S. than it did selling booze to the average person. Think about that. That's a lot of damn guns that had to be sold outside of the country, to equal what they were making it, in illegal sales. I figure all the bootleggers need guns, but I got it right. There you go. They all need guns, and you could probably fund a nice little war with what they were selling. Cheese, egg, and Welch's grapes. Grape. Question 14. Originally, in order to be considered a mobster, you had to have a family from where? A, Sicily, B, Greece, C, Spain, or D, anywhere in Italy. Originally, in order to be considered a mobster, you had to have a family from where? That's Biggie Smalls line. Purple's going with X. Short nice. Sicily, A. Sicily, D, anywhere in Italy. Inner Peace is going with Hollywood. You had to be from Hollywood. A. Where did your family have to be from in order to be considered a mobster? I got tiny fingers, don't know how I got X. Originally, in order to be considered a mobster, you had to have a family from where? E, from Olive Garden region. Where did the name mobster come from? Good question. I don't know the answer to that question, Short Nice. Sure, we could probably Google it, but I don't know. I do not know where the name mobster comes from. Sure, it has something to do with their origin, of whichever the answer is here. Purple X is next to C. Originally, in order to be considered a mobster, you had to have a family from where? I also do not know. A good question. Wait. From Vatican City? They're a different type of mobster, Mel. They're a very organized mob family. To be considered a mobster, you had to be from where? Alrighty, question 14. Originally, in order to be considered a mobster, your family had you had to have family from where? The answer is A, from Sicily. Some old school OG monsters and mob families still will not consider you a mobster unless your family comes from Sicily and only from Sicily. Sicily is the correct answer. All right, question 15. I heard they had some fat pizzas there. A real Italian pizza, nothing like American pizza. Question 15. Everything eventually must come to an end, just like these trivia questions. The mob eventually was going to draw too much attention, and the G men were going to shut it down. What law enforcement act was passed to shut down the mob? Was it A, the LMAO, B, the LICO, C, the RICO, or D, Ram Tough? Would it test? Mr. Frosty's going with RICO. Short Nice is going with that as well. Everything eventually must come to an end, just like these trivia questions. The mob eventually is going to draw too much attention, and the G men were going to shut it down. What law enforcement act was passed to shut down the mob? C, remember C, sell batteries. Mel's going with C, the Rico. Interpizza is going with E, the pasta. The pasta marinara. Starfire C, or purple C. C for cement. The pasta and the vino. The pasta and the vino. Everything eventually must come to an end. Just like these trivia questions. The mob eventually was going to draw too much attention, and the G-men were going to shut it down. What law enforcement act was passed to shut down the mob? In Vito Retita, the pasta and the wine. The Rico guy really did it. didn't he? Rico Suave. And wine is truth. All right, question 15. The answer to question 15 is C, as in cat. Just like that, the federal boys found a way to shut down the Italian mob, only to watch the Russian mob pop up in their place and be twice as ruthless. Hope you enjoyed the trivia tonight. Can I get a thumbs up and a new subscribe? Or 100,000? C, as in cat, was the correct answer. And it's me. That is all 15 questions on tonight's trivia. I hope we all had fun tonight. Thumbs up. If you have a suggestion for a topic that you'd like to see covered, certain killer, type of crime, suggest it. I'm always here to take suggestions. That's where most of the content comes from that I do on this channel. Encore, encore, fun time. Thanks. You're welcome. Thank you for being here with us. I did the thumbs up, but don't have 100,000. Well, everyone counts there, Short Nights. Everyone counts. Had a great time as always. Well, thank you, Purple. Yeah, the RICO Act. So it was the RICO Act was originally started to convict more mobsters of crimes that the government couldn't necessarily prove 100% on and get a jury to convict them on preponderance of the evidence. So a RICO Act just say, look, they're obviously involved in this entire thing, so we can convict them underneath that. It was more of a catch-all than anything else. But they have used the RICO Act in other instances as well, on other crimes like Enron, and stuff like that. They've used the RICO Act. They threatened it a lot more than anything else. Uncle Rico was a gangster, and he could throw a football over those mountains too. Are you going to be online in the morning? Yes, I am, Purple. Yes, I am. Well, what does the acronym RICO stand for? I don't know. Let me look it up really quick. What does RICO Act stand for? Racketeering, Influence, Corruption, and Organizations Act, RICO. That's what it is. Yeah, uh-huh. Ah. Go back to the live stream. I'll put it in here. Boom. There you go. RICO stands for the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruptions Organizations Act. Statute implication for organized labor office of Department of Justice is where I got that. I answered my own question right away. Come on, it's only 6:30 where you are. Where you are. 6:35. Don't make me watch that Gray Hughes backstage. You don't have to. I mean, I have over 1,100 videos on my channel. You can watch those. Always enjoyable and fun. Love the family here. Well, thank you, Teddy Rose. I appreciate it. So some of the suggestions that I've had for other live streams for trivia night have been to do one on certain serial killers. I've done John Wayne Gacy. I've done Ted Bundy. I've done Israel Keys. Um, you know, um, I've done Ridgway. I did Kemper. But if there's another serial killer that you'd like to see a trivia night on, or another crime or a type of crime, as long as it's crime related some in some capacity, I can do another one. I can do another mobster one too. There are a lot of questions out there, trivia questions for mobsters. Serial killer sidekicks. Yeah, I've done I've looked at not short nights. I've never done that sidekicks. I have compiled lists or tried to of serial killers who had other people who worked with them, or they had a partner. I've looked into that, but there's only I think of like 6 or 7. I mean, I could ask multiple questions about the same ones, but a lot of times serial killers, they work by themselves, and they are pretty much loners because that's how they get away with it for so long, is not allowing other people to know what they are doing. People can be married to a serial killer and they can live a completely separate life. You know, Killing people, raping, murdering, doing all that, and the wife or the children don't even know. Will, mods and chat participate. Love y'all. Thanks for the fun. Merry Christmas, everybody. You too, Mel. Thank you. I'd like to see you do a show where you imitate true crime, rocket science. I've Mr. frosty, to tell you the truth, I've watched a little bit of true crime rocket science, but I've never really I've never watched a lot of it. So I mean, it's an idea. Call yourself a true crime rocket surgery. That guy is more boring than AD. Yeah, he follows me. He's on my subscriber list. AD. Do serial killer parents trivia. Serial killer parents trivia. That might be interesting, Schmidt Shoes. To look at the parents of serial killers. What were they like? What they do for a living? How did the serial killer become, that way? I mean, I don't know if we'd ever be able to answer that in the time frame. But I mean, there's a lot known out there of different parents of serial killers. Well, I should say that there's a lot known by what the serial killer, some of them like Kemper, Gacy, Ridgway. I don't think Raiders ever talked about his parents, but some of them have definitely talked about their parents. But it would be hard to prove, what is real versus what they said. I mean, and I'm sure they're not going to paint their parents in positive pictures. I mean, look at Bundy. He talked about his mother in a loving, doting way, but at the same time, if somebody asked him, he was willing to stab her in the back and throw her under a bus or run her over, for how he became the way he was. But it's still a very interesting, topic. I wish True Crime Loser wasn't so whipped. He's whipped. I think Scott does exactly what Scott wants to do. His I like Scott, Sharp's content on True Crime Loser. He presents it in a way that is, well, his own version of it. His take. I got an idea from that thing you had in another trivia about Albert Fish's mom and the crosswords. Yeah, is he still following the metadata? Of course he is. He hasn't given up on the Watts case. He's going to continue to talk about that forever because that's his golden, apple. It's brought him so much money and so much fame. He's going to follow that. And if he lives another 20 years, he's going to be talking about it for another 20 years. That's the absolute truth. Those basement broadcasts were not choice, is my theory. In for about a minute because I think NK is guilty, but it was short lived. The Shadow Man. Yeah. Yeah, but there are people out there that are like that though. He's gonna follow it forever. I mean, some people might ask, does he ever have an original thought? Because he takes everybody else's work and claims it as his own. Even the shadow theory, it wasn't his. It wasn't his theory. It wasn't his question that originally asked. He took that from somebody that followed him, and he ran with it. And then when I came along and I said, "Hey, I can prove that this is all bullshit," and that there is no shadow person. He didn't want the forensics investigation of the video. No, why would he want that? In hindsight, now when you look back on it, look at all the money he was making by talking about that. You wanted $20 a month for Patreon? My Patreon is going to change come New Year, after the New Year, so in about 2 weeks. There are certain aspects of my entire content that's going to change after the New Year. But I have a video coming out on it where I'm going to go through it. I'm going to talk about everything, for my channel that's changing. There's some things that are going to be tweaked a little bit here and there. Some people will like them, some people won't. But doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. And I have been absolutely insane for the last 4 years, expecting that anything would change for my channel by doing the same thing over and over again and expecting that they would change. Second, Watt's interrogation was a PR mission. I don't believe the second confession. Don't think girls left the house alive. What if they'd screamed? I don't know why but you have to ask yourself, why would they scream? He woke them up and they fell asleep back in the truck. And it wasn't the first time that he had ever taken them that early in the morning in the truck, and they knew just go back to sleep. If they and he had Shannon on the floor wrapped up, so they wouldn't have necessarily known, that she was dead. And he, supposedly, according to him, he was taking her to get treatment that mommy was sick. That's his story. There, of course, you can only believe that much of what Christopher Watts says, and we'll never know the absolute truth in it because first off, it's coming from an habitual liar, and everything he says you have to take with a grain of salt. Is this true? Is this true? Is this true? You have to question. You can't say and cherry pick like some people do. They love to cherry pick parts of the confession from the first one, the second one, all of it, and the investigation into it. They want to cherry pick and say, this is true, this isn't true. This is true, this isn't true. you have to take the entire thing and say, look, anything that came out of his mouth, that much is possibly true. The rest of it is all made up, or it's his version of the truth that he wants to project. And of course, if you listen to you write it all down, looking at a transcript form, you can see over and over again how he tries to deflect guilt from himself over and over again. It's like he's telling a story. And if you just turn the audio off on the interview and then read the actual transcript and watch the video in a silent mode, you can tell by his body language and everything that he's saying. It's like he's telling a story that he's rehearsed, a story that he's thought of beforehand. And instead of it being like, me sitting here talking to you, and expressing what really happened. So people have to take that, for what it's worth. A mix of music trivia and serial killers. I would love to do music trivia again. I had a lot of fun doing music trivia, but unfortunately, Purple, I got a lot more hate from actual subscribers to my channel, who eventually unsubscribed because I was doing music trivia. Even though it was crime music trivia, they're like, I didn't tune in for this. So I have to look at where people are, what they want to watch. So I'm going to go through this again later, and I'll look at at the comments and see if there's anything that pops out, that is an idea. I like Cement Shoes' idea about a trivia night around the parents of serial killers. I think that'd be good. Music trivia on Patreon after the new year. I don't know if Cement Shoes has said this or not, but I'll let everybody know. But Patreon, this is how Patreon has worked for the longest time, up until recently. If I wanted to do a stream on Patreon, I had to post it to YouTube and then be over on Patreon. Okay. So YouTube hosted it, and then you stream through Patreon so you could do your own content here. And that was different from what YouTube would allow. You can make this unlisted or private and then stream, right? Now, what has changed is Patreon hosts the actual stream. You don't have to post it or share it to anywhere else. It can all be on Patreon. I could do music trivia. I could do anything, as long as it doesn't break the law. Obviously, I can't do the streams where the music, I'm actually playing music anymore, because they've tightened those areas up a lot. There was a little loophole in there for the longest time where I could sit here and play music, kind of like do like a DJ of like songs and and stuff like that. There was a loophole that I was able to exploit, but YouTube has found a way to close it. I was going to write the parents trivia, but I have not come up with ideas yet. If you do, send them to me, Cement Shoes. You got my email address. How many serial killers were musicians? Huh. That's a good question, Purple. How many serial killers were musicians? I can think of at least 3 that played the piano. Are there more? Maybe. Ed Kemper played the piano. I know he did. I know John Wayne Gacy played the organ and the piano. He actually did that in church when he was younger. And I think he played just the piano, but I'm not entirely sure if he played the keyboard as well. But Israel Keys, yeah, funny, right? Israel Keys played the keys. He played. I know he played the piano. He may have played something, the keyboard as well. Just technology of when he was out there. Leadbelly. Lead Belly, the art, the blues artists. I've got some albums by Lead Belly. Love Lead Belly's music. I was going to. She's redunculous. If only Casey Anthony was as stupid as Watts. She got her ice water running through her veins while he was like a bumbling Scooby Doo character. Hadn't cracked. I wonder how long it would have took. Probably not long. If Okay, so to answer your question, Mr. Frosty, about Christopher Watts, how long would it have taken for them to catch Chris if he wouldn't have cracked? I can answer that emphatically 100%. It would have taken less than 3 months from the time that he put the girls in the tank before they would have been discovered. Because every so often, I think it's once a year or once every 13 months, they have to have each and every tank inspected where they store over a certain amount of oil in. So those tanks would have been drained, and then they have to send a state inspector in along with them. If you don't do it one person doesn't go in by themselves. You're tethered to another person. Because I used to work on a tank farm. I know how this all works. You're tethered to another person, and you have a safety person on the outside. Technically they're supposed to be able to pull you out in case you pass out from something, but they have their own their own air units and everything else, and they go in and they inspect all the welds inside and outside on those tanks. So it would have been about 3 months from the time that he put the girls in there. They would have found the girls in those tanks, and of course, how would they have gotten there if it wasn't from him? He didn't think that far in advance. And it probably would have been a lot shorter order before coyotes would have gotten Shanann, unfortunately, because she was buried outside of the containment walls there in the desert. So that would have definitely sounded alarms, not like real alarms, like an alarm clock or an alert system, but it definitely would have. They would have seen signs of animals that that normally are not there, in the area a lot more. So it definitely would have caught someone's attention. It was a real estate agency. Okay, I don't know. Todd Knappel was an Amazon reviewer, reviews killer. Drones over the oil site even before Chris confessed. I would think they would have gotten him very quickly. Well, they had the GPS from the truck, from his work truck, so they knew where he had gone. That I mean, if you look at the actual body language of Chris from the time that he did the interview with the local news station about his wife and children missing, you can tell how he stood on the porch and he kept on looking over or motioning his body in such a way where the fight or flight in him was he wanted to make sure he had access to get out of there quickly. And he also he tried to speak in such a way where he didn't speak of them in past terms, but he was thinking about it before he actually said it. They're all telltale signs. I don't believe these people who are YouTubers who say that they're experts in body language. I mean, they're obviously signs, of someone who's lying to you. And you'd be surprised if you learn them how many YouTubers are actually lying to you. You'd be really surprised. You just watch their body language and their eyes. His company TKA, someone had originally signed on say on Etsy for $1,000. Wow. Well, I'm going to do a trivia game on Todd. Okay. There's a lot of them out there though. The body language people are aligned too. Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah. Um, there are a couple of bigger YouTube channels who say that they are experts in body language. Um, let's just say that they have misinterpreted what they read and other things that that can mean two totally different things. They are completely just making up. They're making a third option. So if, the body language could be telling you, and the speech pattern could be telling you this or this. They're adding a third option, and they're like, it's always that one that they've made up. It's like I've watched some of them, and it really does help me because it relieves the stress because I'm laughing so hard. But people just eat that shit up, and I'm not trying to make a joke here about it, but I would believe that a large percentage of those who really believe this stuff are women. They really believe that these people are teaching them something that is not true. So, all right, behavior analysis was never come out and say a person is lying before it's actually proven before. It's always after we know already. Yeah. Excuse me. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight for trivia. I hope that you all have a pleasant weekend. If you have time tomorrow, I will be live tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So judge according to wherever you are. 8 a.m. I will be live again. So if you want to catch my morning chat, which never has a topic, it's just an open conversation. We have a cup of coffee, tea, whatever you like to drink in the morning. Maybe a little schnapps in your coffee or tea, whatever. Have a hottie toddy if that's what you want to drink. And we just sit and chat. But you all have a wonderful weekend, and a happy holiday. If I don't see you before then. Good night, everyone. Thank you again. Then Stiven didn't move for hours in the interrogation. Why, Stiven, why? I get such a kick out of some of the things that Scott says. I really do. Schmida. Don't forget about the Schmida fam. You can clean your toilet too. Yes, you can. That is an option. Short nights is.